The reason I initially thought I was invited for this TED Talk was actually because I made $1 million by the time I was 25, while I was working in Citibank. And so I thought that maybe I should share how I did that. But then I realized actually that's not true. I didn't make $1 million. I made some money, but not $1 million anyway. And I realized that I mean, most of the time I'm actually asked this question, why don't you do a normal job? And this normal means a job which earns a lot of money because, as you say, as the host said, I basically have quit a normal job to basically do work with cooperatives. And during this process, I've met a large number of people, like in Spiti, in Kalahandi, in Guwahati, all over the place like me who are asked the same question. Why is it that you guys, why is it that you don't do a particular kind of job? So I actually started working in Gudalur, in the hills of in Nilgiris, and we were working with an Adivasi producer group. What we did was we set up market linkages between producer groups. So we would sell tea from Gudalur to Nagapattinam. It's Poompuhar, and that would be rice from Poompuhar to Calicut, coconut oil from Calicut to Gudalur, and so on. The idea would be to link these producer groups so that they actually become a market among themselves rather than depending on the traditional supply chains. And so that's the context out of which we started working. Today, I actually sell a range of other products. So among my friends, I'm called Mumfali Wala because I sell groundnut. How surprising is that? And I basically help cooperatives sell tur dal as well as soya. So that's sort of the broad outline or the contours of my work. And I've sort of become now the marketing specialist, even though I did not study management. I'm basically a development/economics professional. And it's been a fun journey. And I've seen a large number of people and different kinds of people in this space. So I'm just going to talk about the kinds of people that are there. One, the dreamer. So when I started off setting up a social enterprise, I actually thought I'll be sitting on something like this, on a throne, and basically instructing all my minions and giving them gyan about, okay, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do this. But that was my dream. And that was me on the peacock throne, imagining myself there. None of that has happened anyway. I think the only person or only thing that actually listens to me is a dog on my street because I feed him every now and then. But that's a dream that's basically like a very egocentric dream. And that wasn't the big dream. The dream is basically to create a market. I mean, I'm talking about people who create like ventures, a large number of ventures, and businesses which work, and with ideas that we've actually heard about so far. So what do business students say? I mean, those who study business, 7 out of 10 businesses fail. So given that 7 out of 10 businesses fail, you have to be positively like stupid or audacious to actually dream a possibility that you could sell tea from Gudalur to Nagapattinam. The reason is neither of these groups had strong balance sheets. Neither of them had entrepreneurial abilities, managerial abilities, management school, nothing. But we were able to dream a dream together and take this vision forward of creating that link. 4 years later, the turnover has gone up 4 times. And the women are now exploring opportunities to actually set up new businesses within the self-help groups and the federations around that area. Those are the kind of dreams that I encounter regularly with people. So, I mean, I also find that among these dreamers, there's a slight irreverence for wisdom. So when people tell me you can't do that, you say, okay, maybe you can't, maybe you can't, I will try. I mean, I'll be stupid and try. And that's what we did. So if, for example, Dr. Verghese Kurian, who was, the founder of Amul, agreed with the dream that we were never going to be able to convert buffalo milk into milk powder, Amul would not exist today. It's because he defied wisdom and said, I will show them. And that's Amul today. I mean, Amul basically keeps having that, showing that slight irreverence for conventional wisdom and irreverence for everything that it observes. The second thing is among the adventurer. I actually love to travel, and these are some of the photos of the places that I've traveled in. And what I find is that nearly every person that I actually interact with has that similar passion to go into an adventure and be game and gung-ho about it. So many of the people have driven fast cars, they've bungee jumped, they have actually had adventures as a key part of their experience. And that's what it is. It's about the restlessness that's associated with you, which forces you into things like this, which is beyond what money can actually buy you. So it's not a space where, in my earlier job, where basically I could send emails all day and be very, very happy that I actually did a whole day's work. It's a space where today you'll have funding for 3 years, sorted out. Tomorrow you'll find out that 5 of your customers have said, Tata, we don't want to buy from you. Day after, you'll find out that the porters have not landed up in your warehouse, and you have to actually physically lift 50 kg sacks and then put it into the warehouse. So that's the kind of job we're talking about. That's the kind of things that I've actually been doing over the last seven or 8 years. It's a roller coaster ride, and it has its ups and downs and constant ups and downs. But it's something that's been, it's perfect for an adrenaline junkie like me. And of course, I'm a little bit shy. So like the other person as well. So it's easy to talk about myself and the adventurer and the dreamer, but when it's romantic, I'll talk about someone else. So I had a friend in the undergraduate degree who every 2 weeks or something, he'll come and tell us, oh, I have this girl, and she's the dream. She's the best girl. I really, really love her, and this is the one. This is the one that I'm going to marry. And after about 3 weeks, it's like, oh, sorry, wrong number. This isn't the one. And this happened almost every 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and all of us kept going on, and it's like, what's happening? But this person intellectually knew that there was something wrong with his girlfriend selection process. But he still loved all his girlfriends, I can name them one after the other, passionately. And he absolutely cared for them so much, and he was a romantic. Starting a social enterprise is a labor of love. It's basically for romantic people who have a romantic view of the world, who are willing to just go out and wing it and try. And that's one of the things. So it also requires you to be romantic, not just today and tomorrow. It requires you to be romantic for many years. Because I work, for example, in this field, and there's something many of you might have experienced called a sustainability component, which means that in 3 years, the business will make money. I mean, you can have it in livelihoods, you can have disability, you can have it in adventure sports, anything. Every business plan that I have seen has the business making money in 3 years. The reality is, I have still not seen a business making money in 3 years. Every time, there'll be some new unexpected event, and basically, the next business plan will come out. And basically, it happens over and over and over and over again. I mean, not that long, but it happens at least a couple of times. So for me, it's almost like writing these sustainability plans and business plans are much like second marriages. You know, the triumph of hope over experience. And in my own experience, we had a company that we took about 4 years before we actually broke even. We were setting up a retail chain in the Nilambur area in Kerala. It took 4 years and about a lot of effort before we actually broke even. We had to train the women, we had to get the supply chain going, we had to get the spaces, we had to do a whole lot of things without any business knowledge in sort of the back of beyond in Kerala, which is quite difficult. But in 4 years, we did do it. And today, the business runs without me, without any professional supporting it in any way, except at the end of the year when we have to send the books to the auditors to audit the accounts. Thank you. So the other quality that I find, yep, look at this khadi wearing chap who's come and talked about, I mean constantly, oh, this is a Gandhiwala. I mean, that's a constant thing that I hear all the time. People think that I'm basically completely dematerialized and have absolutely no needs. And this gets worse as you talk about it with other friends and people, family and everyone. So, for example, people tell, I'm sure that there's context where I've heard a situation where, oh, my daughter actually graduated from IIM. And in 2 years, she's actually bought a flat in Delhi. And it was such a nice flat in such a beautiful area. And, but she's not, I mean, and recently we even went on a holiday with her to Dehradun. The journey was so difficult because the roads were so bad. But her Toyota Fortuner was so comfortable. Happens all the time. And my parents, what do they have to say? My son graduated from the LSE. He has now given up everything and he's doing something that's very close to his heart. He's not going to make money today or tomorrow. He's never ever going to make money, but he's following his passion. And that's the reality. I think that parents will grudgingly accept what you're going to do. But it's ultimately your call. Do you want to stick your neck out? Do you want to actually say, this is the life that I'm actually going to lead? Yeah. And in addition to that, it's also about motivating people to give their 100%. So how do I motivate the people in my organization to give 100% of their energy for 29 days of the month without paying them a full salary, so that the 30th day, which is payday, does not matter? It's a challenge because we can't let our spirits down. We have to keep ourselves up, and they have to be aligned. I mean, people have to align with your own and the organization's long-term goals and objectives. And simple question, I mean, when I was working at Citibank, I think that reaching Friday was the single biggest achievement of my working week. How do I make sure I don't have people like that in the organization? It's a key question. I think everything gets summarized in the last thing we want risk takers. We want people who are willing to shake up the system. People who are willing to say, I will try to change the system. I will stick my neck in. And so Emerson said, do not go where the path may lead. Go instead and leave a trail behind. Those who have walked in the forest know how difficult it is. There can be thorns on this side and that side. There's a possibility of a snake. There's a possibility of unexpected events. There's a possibility of getting injured, possibly even dying. But the reality is, if the only way you can actually go forward is if you enjoy the game. So enjoying the process, enjoying the journey, enjoy the day-to-day. And that's the only way to do it. So, for example, if you're so attached to the outcomes, it's never going to work. So the first time when I walked into a snack food manufacturer and to sell groundnuts, everyone in my office said, they are never going to buy from you. I said, well, let me try. 3 months later, they are regular customers. And that's what it is. I just said, let me give it a shot. And that's what it is. It's about giving it a shot and trying everything. When we said that when we said that we would computerize all our operations in the retail chain among a women's group where no one had finished primary school, everybody thought we were cuckoo. Everyone said, you will be entering the data on the computer and you'll be entering the data in the bills and nothing will, you'll just be creating an additional layer. It took 1 month more than we thought it would, but it happened. And at the end of it, of course, there's joy. But if I had said, I had attached myself to the outcome, I don't think I would have even made that step in order to take things forward. So I would kind of just wind up by saying that, what we need to do is to create an ecosystem of risk takers. How do we create people who are willing to take risks? How do we encourage people to move away from a safety-first approach to an innovator's first approach. Just to give you a contemporary example, Arvind Kejriwal, if he had got 4 rather than 30 seats or 28 seats, everyone would have laughed at him and said, ha, see, this is why I tell you you shouldn't do this, because our system cannot change. But today, because of the Aam Aadmi Party, we are having a new dialogue about politics. We are having the possibility of change being discussed among people across the country. And that's because there were people who were willing to take the risk and stick their neck out and say, I will try to change the system. So I'd like to leave you with this final thought, because I think Rudyard Kipling says it beautifully. So if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and ne'er breathe a word about your loss. Thank you.